Okay, guys, we got a poll by Misty on, and it basically asks, can Muzan solo Sendai Colony in place of Yuta? And I voted yes. And it seems like a lot of people are basically kind of underrating Muzan, and they just kind of hate him because he's a Demon Slayer character. You know, some Jujutsu Kaisen fans are biased. But I want to go over why I said yes and why I actually think this is closer than a lot of people think. Let's I'm mostly going to go over what's actually been shown, but there will be a bit of speculation. Let's just start it like normal. Let's pretend that there's not going to be any sunlight, at least not for this fight. I'd mostly just want to go over how their abilities kind of counter each other. So let's say Muzan starts with Druve. So I think Muzan should clear Druve relatively easily. Based on what we saw, Yuta copied Druve's technique and he used it on Uro. And it only created like about 3 slashes on Uro's body. Now it is a guaranteed sure hit, but again, Muzan has like extremely fast regeneration. He can regenerate in like 1 second pretty much. And other demons have pretty much done the same. Upper Moons, Akaza, Doma. Again, you guys got to remember Muzan has extremely fast regeneration. Now, one argument for Druve is that Yuta, when he was attacking Uro with Druve's technique, he actually used the small little bat Shikigami. Druve actually had two like huge Shikigami. I think they were like mole rats. I don't know what type of creature or animal they were specifically, but you could argue if Druve used his two big Shikigami, maybe that would just like instantly kill Muzan, or it would be some huge slash that like instantly destroys him. But again, that goes back to speculation. We're never really going to know the answer to who wins. I'm still going to bet on Muzan since, again, Yuta Okotsu was somehow able to get close to Druve and slash him. But again, the main issue of contention is we only saw Yuta use the small little bat Shikigami that Druve had, and we didn't get to see him use those like two monstrously large like mole rats or whatever animal they were, but they were like huge. So I'm gonna say Muzan ultimately defeats Druve with mid difficulty at max. Again, he's mostly just gonna out regenerate. If you think Druve can one-shot him, sure, but there's no conclusive proof on that. Next, we're gonna go to Kururushi, and I actually think either person could win. Now, in terms of overall physical stats, Muzan should be either relative with Yuta or higher than Yuta. Now, again, maybe it's a little bit biased, or again, I'm not a huge power scaler, but I've seen a lot of like basically power scaling on like Yuta versus Kokushibo, Yuta versus Muzan, and stuff like that. And it actually seems like the Demon Slayer verse isn't really like that much weaker than the JJK verse, at least like the top tiers in a way. So again, Muzan's probably around relative-ish with Yuta. I think Muzan for sure has better speed because one thing we know is Demon Slayer characters have better speed than Jujutsu Kaisen characters. We just gotta be unbiased about it. Um, so essentially, I'm just gonna say Muzan's relative with Yuta in terms of physical stats. And then with Kururushi's only win con against Muzan is going to be if he is able to gather like 300 cockroaches, his cockroach swarm, and immediately just devour Muzan, just eat him, so that he's basically like incinerated, so that he can't regenerate. But again, this is going to be extremely difficult because Muzan can literally regenerate in like 1 second pretty much. So if you think Kururushi's swarm can basically eat Muzan, and basically, you know, outpower his regeneration speed, then sure, give it to Kururushi. For me personally, I'm going with Muzan because I don't think Kururushi's insects are going to be able to completely eat Muzan in like less than a second. Unless he just really like gathers them all and just immediately sends them on Muzan. But I just don't really see it happening, to be honest. Now, we can move on to Uro. Uro has 0 win cons. I don't think there's really anything to go over. Uro's Uro has 0 win cons. She has no way to one-shot Muzan. Muzan is basically like Maharaga. You have to one-shot him or he's going to regenerate. So again, Uro has nothing. It doesn't matter if Uro uses her domain expansion. Um, Unless you think Thin Icebreaker is going to one-shot Muzan, I think we can move on to Ryu Ishigori. So, Muzan versus Ryu Ishigori. I think Muzan pretty much is just going to outlast Ryu Ishigori because Muzan is immortal. He has infinite regeneration. Um, so again, Ryu has 2 win cons that I can come up with. which I don't even think will really work, but let's just go over them. Number one, Ryu can use his full output blast that he was going to use against Yuta, Kotsu, and Rika towards the end, right? His fully charged beam, his full output beam. And maybe that will just completely eviscerate Muzan, which I don't think is going to happen, honestly, since Yuta kind of was able to tank his Yuta was actually able to tank his beam when he made a when he used sky manipulation to make Ryu Ishigori's beam like come back down onto him. Like Yuta's hands were fried, but they weren't like completely disintegrated. And again, Muzan should be relative to Yuta in terms of physical stats, so his durability shouldn't be too much weaker. Now, the second way that Ryu could one-shot Muzan is he opens his domain expansion and he is relentless with his Granite Blast and he just doesn't let up to the point where it outpowers Muzan's regeneration speed. Now, I think that's being very generous to basically Ryu and Kururushi, right, with their win cons. I think Druve and Uro ultimately lose this pretty easily. Again, there could be speculation that Druve could potentially one-shot with his bigger Shikigami, but that's speculation, you know. Do we really want to go with speculation like that? So ultimately, the only people that have a chance against Muzan is going to be Kururushi and Ryu Ishigori, and even then, I don't think they genuinely win. Like, I did go over their potential win cons, but even then, I think it's kind of BS because I don't see Ryu genuinely one-shotting Muzan, nor do I necessarily see Kururushi using his cockroach swarm to outspeed Muzan's regeneration. I'm just kind of saying that as like again, I'm just giving them potential win cons, kind of for the other side, for I guess JJK, some JJK fans who might think they win, like maybe, but ultimately I think Muzan has a better chance. Now, obviously, this fight was excluding the sun, because if we include the sun, Muzan's just cooked. Yeah, Muzan is cooked if this doesn't take place at nighttime. But yeah, honestly, I just I mean, I get it. I like Jujutsu Kaisen more as well, but we don't gotta always like slander Muzan and be biased against Demon Slayer. Like, I just feel like these poll results were honestly crazy. But yeah, I think that's about it. If you disagree with anything, let me know. But I think this should be like decently accurate. Again, Uro 100% has zero win cons. Druve basically has zero win cons unless you want to argue his big Shikigami and whatnot. Kururushi, I think, actually has the best win con because maybe his cockroaches could just keep devouring Muzan and somehow outspeed his regeneration, which is still pretty unlikely. And then after that, I would say Ryu has the best chance. So it's actually a very weird matchup. So Muzan has the worst chance against Kururushi, has the second worst chance against Ryu Ishigori, and Muzan has the best chance against Takako Uro, and the second best chance against Dhruv Lakdawala. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know if you disagree, or if you're a power scaler, let me know if, I guess, Muzan isn't relative with Yuta, but ultimately, I see no reason why Muzan doesn't actually clear this.